We're rolling tape anyway. But we are caught between the devil and the deep blue sea. We got a QSO going one click below us, and then we got another click, QSO one click above us. So, Charlie, I'm up, whatever you suggest, buddy, I'm ready to do it. This is pretty hard to operate in this situation.
Right now, you're right out in the clear. They may have signed. You're right out in the clear, Jim.
Roger, Roger. Well, we might coast along here for a minute and see where it goes, I don't know. Did you? Sent you an email? I don't know if you got it or not.
No, I don't have a computer here, but I'll tell you who you can send an email to. Through is my friend Bob, right up the road here, as KB1 Italy Zebra United, KB1IZU. He does have a computer. In fact, he's helped me out an awful lot getting my QRZ picture set up. So he would be the one that you could get through to me, Jim. But so far, right now, it's clear. Go ahead.
Roger, Roger. Well, I just letting you know on the email that I really appreciated your storytelling, and anytime that you want to do that, you're welcome to, and if you would like, we could do that right at the head of the class, right off the bat of the QSO-VLOG. We could do about 10 minutes or so, and there's a wide range of subjects. I'm just thinking about something related to amateur radio in general, Marconi, Tesla, DeForest, antennas, microphones, just anything related to radio. Roger, Roger.
Okay, well I've got one for you today, and it's connected to the value of radio. When I had to run phone patches into the Antarctic, and this is back in around 1967 or thereabouts, so it's been well over 50 years, and I'll tell you about one story, and how the phone patch system works right here on 40 meters, Jim. Go ahead.
Oh, sure. Sounds great. I've been running a little bit behind time. I found out that you can do a shave in 90 seconds.
Yeah, well, K1GZL. Okay, let me give you the story. What happened? I would say it was in the middle 60s, 65, 1966, 67. We used to get a hold of, the Antarctic stations down at the South Pole, McMurdo Sound, Plateau Station, which was there only 2 years. That was a near disaster. I'll tell you about that. Palmer Station, Bird Station, Long Wire Station outside of Bird. What happened down there, Jim? They didn't have all this satellite communication. They had practically nothing. And they were isolated. They couldn't, in some of those bases, they could not get down in there during their winter, which is our summer. So what had happened in several of those years, there was traffic that was coming out of the Antarctic. So I got together with a bunch of fellows, and I started up what is called the Trans-Antarctic Traffic and Phone Net. Trans-Antarctic means in various, in effect, wide areas of the Antarctic. Traffic, the messages and so on. Phone on voice, net, a group. So I called it the Trans-Antarctic Traffic and Phone Net. And what we did, each one of us, we would get, maybe 7 or 8 or 9 stations together. We would start Eastern time. Now, this is in our summer. We would get stations together, and each station would have a list of people that that the Antarctic stations they wanted to connect with their loved ones back home. So the number would run maybe from the first time you ever did it up to maybe 40 stations, or that is 40 phone numbers. And say Byrd Station would get a hold of Jerry, W8HXR, was more or less my sidekick on this. He was out in Washington Courthouse, Ohio, the Jerry Swank. And he would say, Jerry, we'd like to run your number 25 to Byrd Station to KC4 Uncle Sierra for Bravo. And Jerry would come back and say, Roger, Roger. And then Jerry would go off frequency, find a spot, and call KC4 USB. They would pick up each other, and Jerry would pass these, would call up number 25 and connect them up, and so forth and so on. And of course, the stations at that time, the South Pole was KC4 Uncle Sugar Nancy. Now it's KC4 AAA, but it was KC4 USN. And there were a number of stations wintering over down there with temperatures around 100 plus degrees below 0 Fahrenheit. And and McMurdo had the most people, KC4 United Sierra Victor, KC4 USV, and not too far from Nautilus, the volcano there at McMurdo Sound. And Byrd was Uncle Sugar Baker, and Palmer Station was KC4 Uncle Sugar Peter, and Longwire just outside of Byrd Station at short distance was KC4, oh boy, I'm trying to think, US Denmark. I'm not certain of that last letter was them, but that was another station. Now, what happened on one particular case there, Jim, I was running patches into the South Pole at that time at KC4 Uncle Sugar Nancy, and everybody would come to the shack when they weren't working to listen to Leo and Alice talking. Now, Alice was, now that's their actual first name, but I'm not going to mention the last name over here. But they would get on there, and Leo and Alice. And oh boy, I was working a job about 12 miles north, and I was in New Gloucester, Maine at this time, 20 miles north of Portland, Maine, running these patches. And the pole station would say, Charlie, would you call number 16 to Alice from Leo. That was Alice and Leo. Leo's at the pole, and Alice is right there near Boston. And she works at Mass General. Fine. So I get him on. I get him on the air. I get him on connected through. And Alice was really something else. She says, "Oh, hi, Leo. Oh, it's so good to hear you. Oh, I just can't wait till you get back here so you can help clean up this mess. This house is falling apart. My vehicle needs repair. There's a lot of construction that has to be done around here. I can't handle it. I need a new washing machine. I need a new washing machine. Yes, we've got to pay this bill, and I don't know what it is. And you've got to. I need a hand here badly. Back to you, Leo." And Leo would come back. Yes, dear. Yes, dear. I understand. Everything is fine down here. Over. And then she comes back. Well, Leo, this has got to happen. Gosh, look, do your best to get done down there, so we can get to work up here. Over. And then Leo comes back, and Leo says, you know, Alice, I'm getting near the end of my termination. My stay in the Navy is running out. But I'm thinking seriously of shipping over. Then Alice comes back. Oh, Leo, you can't ship over. I need you here so badly. Who's going to mow the cats back? Who's going to get the new car? Who's going to pay all the insurance over? And Leo comes back and says, well, Alice, we'll talk about this later. Goodbye, Alice. I'm through for the day. Jim, these were interesting. I woke up good that night. K1GZL.
Roger, it was interesting, the choice of names for the female, Alice. It was kind of reminiscent of Jackie Gleason and the Honeymooners, you know.
Oh, yeah. Yes, I remember that show. Oh, boy. Oh, let me tell you one thing that was a near disaster down there. There was the Plateau Station. I can't remember the call numbers of the Plateau Station, but it was terrible. They had 8 men down there. 8 men, and I was, as I mentioned, at this time in New Gloucester, Maine, 20 miles north of Portland, Maine. And one of those 8 men, Dad, lived only up in Auburn, just 12, 13 miles north of me. And he used to come right over to my shack in the early morning hours to talk to his son. But what happened down there now Plateau Station is on the other side of the South Pole, more than 800 miles beyond the South Pole. And they had 3 generators. They had a large generator and 2 small generators to keep the place going, so to speak. Their temperatures down there were probably the coldest where any records would ever go. They were only there 2 years, and they averaged colder than Vostok. Vostok was about 2,000 feet lower. And that's the Russian station. We had a fellow there by the name of Bill Taylor, and Bill Taylor was from the Schenectady, Albany, New York area. But Plateau Station was up at over 11,000, maybe 11,500 feet above sea level. And all of a sudden, the large generator went out. They lost the large generator, and there's no way they can fly anything into Plateau Station. And then that caused a lot of concern. Then generator number 2 went out, one of the 2 smaller generators. So they became extremely worrisome about that. But the third one held. Until they got to their spring, and they flew them all out of there. They fly them out of Chi-Chi or Christchurch, New Zealand. They go out from Christchurch. They fly down into McMurdo, then down. They branch out to the various Antarctic stations. So they flew them out, and they closed that station down. But there were a lot of very interesting things that happened down there, Jim. KC9VKV, K1GZL. You can still hear me.
Oh, Roger, Charlie, you were always at least 10 dB above noise, sometimes 15. Great story. And just curious, are we still holding up to you? What do you copy us as signal-wise?
Oh, 20, 25 over. It's beautiful.
Roger. Well, I guess we guessed right about the afternoon times on 40 meters being more productive for our lower-powered stations as far as doing our QSO vlog recordings. So, Charlie, thanks for the story, sir, and I appreciate it. And if you ever do get that email, let me know. But you know, if you want to do the stories at the head of the our QSO vlogs, feel free. You know, 10 minutes or so on you know, an amateur-related or a radio-related story topic. We'd appreciate it. Thank you so much, sir.